Well, good morning again. Nice to see you. We are making a wedding. I've got a bride, 6 bridesmaids. There's the bride container ready, and 4 of the 6 bridesmaids, 10 buttonholes, 2 big urns, a large Constance Spry arrangement, and a 16-foot garland to make. We're running a little late. It's 9:45 in the morning. I have to finish this all by the end of today. So what I do before I do anything else is I always lay out my materials. So I get my vases ready. I've done the string for the garland, and I'm going to get the vase ready for the big Constance Spry out of my special vase cupboard. I will choose something. Luckily, I've been to this venue before, so I know the mantelpiece in question, so I can arrange that quite nicely and make sure I've got the right kind of buckets for my urns. Once I've got all that ready, I'm going to make a start. Welcome, by the way. If you are new subscribers, we've got masses of new subscribers, so very, very welcome. If this is the first time you've come across us, then please do subscribe to the channel. You can press the bell icon and we'll tell you when we've got more clips coming up. And if any of the tips and tricks I give you along the way are useful, then you can always buy me a coffee. The link to buying coffees is in the blurbs to all my clips. Right, better get on. And so it begins. First of all, I am laying out the rope, the string to make the garland on. Now, this table, which was given us by a neighbour, is incredibly useful because it's loose. It's a trestle table. And so the whole of the lid can be put in the back of the van. Also, Fabrizio, very helpfully, has written along it the foots. How many feet? 6 foot. 1 foot. So I'm making a 16-foot garland. So it means I can run the string along the top. It's good, strong. It's kind of not rope, but not string either. It's good, strong stuff. And I can very quickly know that I've got enough. Obviously, you need a bit extra because you've got to hang it up. And you need a bit more just for emergencies, for looping the end, for tying it up. They weigh quite a lot, these garlands, and so there's a certain amount of logistics that go. It's not just making them, it's the logistics of hanging them another whole nother thing. Anyway, so I've got that ready, and next I'm going to set up for all the things I'm going to make. Here's a top tip. I put compost buckets at the 4 corners of my working table. Excuse the dog food. Because then I have always got somewhere, and you can see the kind of mess that we have on the floor here. But if I have compost buckets at the end of every corner, then I've always got somewhere to put material as I've finished with it. Right, the urns are ready. I've chosen my vase. It is untidy in here. Fabrizio's just come in and dumped his gloves. He's fencing. First of all, I'm going to green up my large arrangements. I do the big arrangements when I start because then I get my hand in before I start making bouquets. So here are the urns, all greened up. I'm quite happy with them. I absolutely love amaranthus. I really have a pash for amaranthus. They are stunning, and they haven't even got any dahlias in yet. You see what I mean about the funkadelic? This is tropical for a English manor house just off the A303. And then I've done a sort of balanced version, still with no flowers in. And this is the base of what will be on the mantelpiece in the drawing room. Not unhappy. This is really working with all my favourite colours. It's kind of moody, little bit of sort of little Day of the Triffids feel, quite sort of exciting. And I love the zing of the green. I mean, I really would quite happily leave these as they are and not have any flowers. But obviously That's not what the clients ordered, but I'm quite pleased. I'll stand back so you can see them. There we are. They look quite Edwardian. Anyway, on we go. Right, that's the one that's going on the mantelpiece in the drawing room. And here are the two urns with dahlias for wow factor. I have to say, I love that. I really like these. There are dark dahlias deep in there, which you don't really see unless you're, with the naked eye, you see them much more easily. They don't film well or photograph well, but I really recommend a dark dahlia in your life. There's Blackjack, just hanging out, looking gorgeous. The spiky one is Alio, tucked inside there. The peach, you can see, that's Cafe Le Rose in there, and more Blackjack. Anyway, I think they'll do for the moment. I will probably pudge them later. This is a technical term, which actually belongs to the family of Emily, who used to work here, and she introduced us the concept of pudging, so, which means you basically make something and then you leave it to settle for a bit, get on with some other stuff, and you might come back later and add a few bits. But personally, happy with that lot. It really helps if you're doing event floristry, that if you've got space to put things when you finish them out of the way. So that lovely mantelpiece number is there next to all the plugs, not dripping into the plugs. And if I swing around, you'll see how things get moved around during the day. Spare buckets out there, because you're rearranging what project you're on. And I'm about to do the bride and the bridesmaids before I make the garland. And so there's all the stock. But the big urns have been carried down here, and they're heavy. Really, really heavy, but two people can carry them quite easily. So they're going to be transported in the van like that. This is my table for doing the garland on later, but I've already, with a swing round, got quite a lot more room on here. It may not look it, but I have. So onwards and upwards. Now, I always stand in front of the mirror with the bride's bouquet to see how it looks. It's important, it's worth thinking about how it's going to be carried. So make it so that you can carry it upright, sideways, or mostly people carry their bouquets sort of front facing. So make it so that when the bits hang down, it's, it works quite well. This is enormous. I hope she doesn't mind. But I'm just so in love with this colour mix that I'm just having a really nice time. I've added some lovely scented pelargonium, which A, is very attractive, but B, if anybody's a bit nervous, it's a nerve-wracking moment. You're going to walk down the aisle in front of lots of people you don't necessarily see every day in a dress, which is not what you would normally wear every day, to make declarations of a very private nature in public. So it's not surprising people are nervous. So it's important that the bride's bouquet has some elements which are very calming, and scented pelargonium foliage, which is at its very best in September here, is just right. Anyway, there we are. This camera is being my mirror for me, but I do have a mirror in my studio there behind me, where I normally look. There. I go and look at my bride in the mirror and make sure that she hangs right. There we are. Right, I can tie that up and put it to one side. I'm quite pleased with that. Time to do the bridesmaids. So here's a bridesmaid's posy. Same idea, but smaller. And this is a great idea if budgets are tight, which they always are with weddings. So these are going to become table centres afterwards. I totally think that's a sensible thing to do. After all, the bouquets will get put down. We don't habitually walk around carrying bunches of flowers all the time, do we? And as soon as the formal ceremony part of the day is over and the champagne is out and everybody's having a lovely time, the last thing you want to be doing is carrying a bunch of flowers around. So you may as well put them in a pretty little vessel, in this case, 6-sided jam jars, all shiny and nice, and have them as table centers, because that makes a very nice table. I mean, why not? Anyway, just a thought. I just think weddings can be enormously expensive, and generally people are young when they get, or youngish, and so have mortgages to pay, and or hopefully are thinking about getting mortgages to pay, or even cars to buy, or whatever it is. So if you can save a little bit on the wedding flowers, it's a good idea. I am very pro. Right, 6 Bridesmaids Posies, all similar, but no two quite the same. Can you tell I'm quite enjoying this wedding? I love these colours. I love them. And I love the amaranthus, and I love the dahlias, and I love the smell of the cut Ami Visnaga, and I love the scented pelargonium foliage. And this beauty, beyond compare, is American Dawn. And here she is in combination with Carolina Wagamans, this paler one here. And how beautiful can they be? That's all I'm saying. Here we have Alio, the old beloved. Ah, just a little tiny cafe au lait in a bridesmaid's posy. Oh yes. Anyway, moving on. Enough. I could rhapsodize for hours about these. Right, done the bride, the bridesmaids, the big urns, the pedestal vase, and I'm now going to do the garland, and I'm going to keep the ingredients quite simple. I'm using pom-pom dahlias because they don't wilt, and they've been really nicely conditioned, so they're up to here with water, and they'll keep their colour and they'll look great even though they're not in any water at all. I'm going to use the amaranth, but I'm going to take all of the leaves off, so only the colour for the amaranth. And I'm going to have some for light. I want to keep it light. So I've got some of this lovely, this is limonium, which is a sort of frothy, nice bit of froth. And I have Honesty seed heads, which I will also be using all the way through the autumn. But then look how they're catching the light hanging down here. So they're light, but pretty. I've got some crab apples. I'm going to be quite careful with them because they're heavy, very heavy, and I don't want my garland to be kind of lumpy because of them. And I've also got lovely, I'm here, coming back, hydrangeas. And again, these are fresh. They're going to be out of water, but they're not going to flop. They'll just hold themselves quite nicely. I'll take all the leaves off. I don't want floppy leaves. Anyway, here we go. I'll show you when I've made my first bit, and then I'll show you the finished product. So if anybody ever saw the garland video I made at Christmas last year, the principle is exactly the same. So I'm just running the string along, there it is, and binding everything in. And it's very important that you bind things strongly, pull the string tight. I'm putting the dahlias in bunches of 3 because otherwise they won't show up. And there's the first metre or so. And I'm just going to repeat that 5 times. It's not rocket science, it's a bit fiddly, but it's quite fun. I'll show you when I've finished. Right, here we are. We're about halfway there. It's fiddly, but it's not especially time consuming. You just got to have enough material, and remember to pull your string tight. No wire here, 100% biodegradable. Might change their mind and have it going down the middle of the table, I don't know. It's all possible. Right. Now, as is often the case when I'm making a big piece like this, I'm always slightly thinking on the hoof. This garland is very heavy because of the apples. They weigh quite a lot. And so I'm not making it in one piece. I'm going to make it in two pieces because I think hanging two people climbing ladders 5 meters from each other, hanging this thing, it's going to put unnecessary stress on the situation and we're all going to end up having a shouting match. So, and this also has an added bonus, I'm going to make it in two pieces so that it meets in the middle. And that means, imagine if you will, that the middle of it will have a fatter centre, a more glorious centre if you like, more like a swag than a garland. And from one side, everything will be coming that way. And from the other side, everything will be coming that way. And it'll all meet in the middle, so it'll have a balance to it. If you can imagine this is being one end, and this is the other, they will meet like this. And it will, it'll have a better balance, I think. Otherwise it might look a bit stringy. The other thing is, because it's so heavy, it's entirely my fault for using the apples, but they were irresistible. Because I can't remember what I was going to say, because it's very heavy. Oh yeah, so I'm going to hang a rope between the two poles of the marquee, and then these two garlands will be hung to the rope, so the rope will give extra strength. Because you can imagine the garland, at the moment it's flat on the table, I expect you can see it, but when it's hanging up, it'll flip. Never go anywhere without a tape measure. So the weight of it will be hanging down. If we have a rope that we can attach it to as we go along, it'll be stronger. No two floristry jobs are the same. And the reason you employ a good florist is because they're not just thinking about whether they can recreate what you're looking for, but they're also thinking about the time everything's going to take and the mechanics in order to make this sort of flowery dream come true. And I think for this garland, it's my fault for putting in the apples. It is so heavy that I'm going to have to do it this way. There you go, thinking on the hoof. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, by the way. We're getting there slowly. Right, there we are, 2 sections of garlanding to be hung, and these 2 ends that we're looking at will meet in the middle. I hope. We'll see. I will take a pudging bucket in case. Right, buttonholes and thank you bouquets and some spare bits to pudge with, and a couple of buckets of flowers for the bride and her friends and family to play with, to make other posies, and we're all set. And it's 3:30. Almost time to go and meet the school bus. It's all in the timing. By the way, I do hold quite a lot of floristry workshops of one kind or another, both here at the farm and online. So do look at the website, and whether you're planning a wedding or an event or just want to learn more about floristry, I'm your girl. Book your place and I'll see you soon. There's a bee buzzing around up there. Right, the van's packed. Look at the garland tucked in like a little baby with a nice little place to sleep. Very organised. I like that. So here's the garland up, and light is always terrible in marquees, but it gives you an idea. And we're about to pull it right up. It's very pretty, though I say it myself. So we've pudged it a little bit with more apples, more dahlias tucked in. And the light is terrible. I'm really sorry about that, because in real life it's much, much prettier. But because the colours are really good in real life. Anyway, I'm quite pleased with that. It really looks so terrible on film, but in real life it's really, really pretty. Anyway, there you go. It gives you an idea. I love it. I love it. I'm very, very pleased with it. I like the detail. and the autumnalness of it. Oh, that's better. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if you can see any of this at all. But anyway, there you get a big idea. Right, I hope you've enjoyed this little clip. I've got, my hand is shaking. The garland is up behind me and it's time to go back up to Mum's and help look after Mum and Dad. So I hope you've enjoyed the clip. If you have, please do subscribe to the channel. Press the bell icon and we'll tell you when we've got more clips coming up. And if any of the tips and tricks we've given you have been useful, you can always buy me a coffee. And the link to buying coffees is in the blurb to all my clips. Thanks very much for coming along, and I'll see you soon.